Trading is like following a sat nav. We have our starting point and then our end destination, but we also need to be flexible because you know what it is like driving. There might be diversions, there might be roadblocks, there could be weather conditions. And trading, we need to view it in the same way. One of the key things when we're doing technical analysis, and it's really important, is that we draw in pencil and never in ink. And this is because often, sometimes 10, 20, 30% of the time, the route becomes invalid. So we don't argue it. We don't stick to our guns. We just simply update. So we always know that we're operating with probabilities and never certainties. So what do we know versus what we don't know? This is really important. So what we absolutely know is that the starting area, so using pattern, price, time, and momentum, we can predict with high probability when a momentum or the price is going to reverse, whether it's the end of wave 4, end of a wave 2, even end of a trend like end of a wave 3 or end of a wave 5 or an ABC correction. Then we know, using the same technical edge, pattern, price, time, and momentum, what is the high probability likely destination? And 7, 8, sometimes even 9 out of 10 times, we reach the destination, but we just don't know the exact route. And then the high probability direction. Are we short in the market? Are we long in the market? Or are we just simply standing aside waiting for more clarity? What we don't know is the exact path. We don't know the exact entry, as in it might require a few attempts. And then we don't know the exact timing. Now, remember that we're dealing with buying and selling psychology from global markets. So we can read what's likely to occur, but we never know what's going to occur. And that's why it's a probabilistic environment that we're dealing with. So flexibility and execution, because we don't know the exact path, we have to stay flexible. So in other words, when the market gives us the green light, so we're driving, we get to the traffic lights, and when we get the green light, we go. In other words, we place our order, we place our stop loss, and we have acceptable risk. In other words, we're accepting the cost of admission. And we need to be prepared for multiple attempts. Now, even though we have a higher probability that the destination will be reached, we can also identify what is the minimum expectation that the market is likely to do even if it doesn't reach the destination. We call that unit 1 thinking. That's to protect us, it's to reduce risk early, but it's also to lock in some potential early profits, even if the trend doesn't fully take off. And then we've got our unit 2 thinking. Now, unit 2 thinking is we assume that we are going to reach the end destination. Again, we don't know if it's going to be in an impulsive direct line, if it's going to be an ending diagonal. It could be a few different pathways, but it's to keep our stop loss far away from the current price action and allow the route to take effect. Again, there might be a few diversions, minor diversions, so on and so forth. So when we're thinking about our technical edge, we've got our boardroom, we got Mr. Pattern, Mrs. Price, Mr. Time, and Mr. Momentum, and we just have a honest conversation. What is the position of the market? What's clear and what is unclear? What will validate or invalidate? What will confirm early confirmation, which means we can potentially get an early entry, or what will be later stronger confirmation and a later entry. And again, each one has pros and cons. We got early entries, which will give us a better risk reward, but carries higher risk. And then we've got later entries, which gives us higher confidence that the market is going to continue in that direction. But if we wait for that point, we'll get a wider risk reward and therefore make less money on the trade. And again, it's always a bit of a balancing act, and we're looking for different types of entries depending on the market conditions. So this is gold, right? And this is going to be the upgraded way that I'm going to be displaying the technical analysis to keep life a lot simpler, because there's a lot of sophistication with multiple wave counts, degrees of wave counts, different price structures. We've got time ratios, we've got momentum on different time frames, on dual look back, and so on and so forth. There's 3 core pieces of information that you really want to be aware of. And as long as the price respects the route, we stay on course. But we're also very aware of what will invalidate the current trade idea. So let's take this slow, because we're going to talk about a bit of technical analysis, but again, keeping it quite simple. So with gold, we've got this impulsive move down. Is more than likely going to be a wave 1. We got this correction, which is more than likely a wave 2. We've had a pretty textbook wave 3. It was overextended, wave 3. And now we've done our A, B, C correction for a high probability wave 4. Now this green box that I've drawn on, this effectively is the start zone. And the way we've calculated the start zone is basically the high probability end of wave 4. So again, I'm just going to go over a bit of technical analysis. So if you've done pattern, price, time, and momentum mastery, you will understand this a bit better. We simply measure the distance of the wave 4. We do our retracements. We take the ABC into consideration and a few other factors. We take the time of the wave 3. How long should it take for a typical wave 4? This is more on the extreme side. And in other words, we get this box, which is a high probability price and time box. So that's the start zone. We believe the market has completed a high probability wave 4. And then we do our projections, the projected route. That's this red box down here. You can almost think of it as a high probability start and a high probability end. And as you would plug into your sat nav, your current destination or your current location is your starting point, and we want to get to this point over here. Now, whether it will or won't, we don't know that for certain. That's why we draw in pencil. What else do we know? Well, we also know what would invalidate this current wave 4. And there's 2 points of invalidation. I've drawn one, but I'll speak about 2. The first one is this a wave 4? Now, this has not yet been fully confirmed, but it's given us an early pattern reversal signal that says more than likely that this is going to be a wave 4. Now, we won't fully know until this low is exceeded. And if this low is exceeded, that will give us higher confidence. But what we do have is this impulsive move down, which is larger than any other move to the downside. We've taken out minor swing lows, so it confirms that this is likely to be a wave 4. What's the other point of invalidation? So by the way, I've written it in layman's term language. So it says route invalid if broken. In other words, it's like recalculate. It's like your sat nav saying, that route is blocked. Let's go this way, and something else might be occurring. So if this high does get exceeded, it doesn't mean that this is still not making a wave 4. It just means that this high is not the wave 4 or not the wave 4 high. What's the other point of invalidation? Well, what's the Elliott wave rule when it comes to wave 4s? Well, wave 4s should not trade into the range of wave 1. So we go, well, if this is a wave 1, we could, and we don't need to draw it now just to keep the chart clean, but we could say if the price goes above this point, then it tells us something else is occurring. Now, we don't need to really look at that until it happens. So we just be aware of it is more than enough. So the big question is, what route is this going to take? Now, if we had it our way, it would be a perfect 5-wave structure to the downside. And this is what we anticipate. A wave 1 of a wave 5. In other words, a wave 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're anticipating a high probability wave 5. And then we've got our wave 2. And what we're anticipating is a follow through to the downside for a wave 3 of this wave 5. Then we'll anticipate a wave 4 and then a wave 5 of wave 5. Now, is it going to unfold like that? Well, we don't know. That's the whole point of trading. It's a probabilistic environment. We never know in advance. Could it do something different? It could be more of a shallow move like this. It could be, it could be this, and then it could be a long wave 4 and then a wave 5, or something else entirely. The main thing is we are very clear of what we know. High probability start zone, high probability projected route, the current path that we're on, and the point of invalidation. So now our simple job, I'll say simple, it's simple but not easy, is to identify the next high probability trade setup. And there's really 2. There's the one order that we've got in play right now. We go, if the price goes below this point over here, it will confirm that this high is likely to hold. And then when it's down over here. Now, I just want to quickly touch upon unit 1 and unit 2 thinking. This is probably one of the most important concepts when it comes to our edge, because we want to do capital preservation. If the market does do the initial move to the downside, even though it's looking good and that the market is likely to reach this zone over here, we want to have unit 1 thinking first, which is let's just assume that this is not a wave 1 and not a wave 2 and not making a wave 3. Instead, what we do is we just say it could be an ABC correction. Maybe the market is doing a complex correction, something along those lines. So with half of the position, we're going to look to exit. In other words, trail our stop loss with half. And then the other half of the position, if this does occur, is we'll keep our stop loss on unit 2 at break even. Why? Because we anticipate there's a high probability that we'll get the larger move to the downside. And if it reaches our projected route, the destination, the endpoint, then that's when we'll start trailing the unit 2 stop loss on swing highs. There's a couple of other things that we can do over here. So that's how we can now look at this. So rather than me drawing all the complex Fibonacci ratios, the time ratios, the multiple 3, 4, 5 degrees of wave counts, we want to have a clear start point, a clear end point, and also the point that will invalidate the current route. So in summary, we don't predict, we don't forecast. Like we do our technical analysis of what is highly probable, but we know that we don't know. That's really, really important. We plan the route in advance. That's what we're talking about when we plan our trade and trade our plan. And we take every valid trade setup, and we can update the market when it tells us to do so. So if that high is taken out, it says, okay, this is not the wave 4. If it goes above the wave 1 low, it tells us it's not the wave 4. Something else is occurring. Last point before we open up the floor to Q&A is going to be, we know the journey, or the high probability journey. 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, it tends to take root. It tends to get to the endpoint. But what we don't know is how it's going to get to that endpoint, if it gets to that endpoint. So we don't know every step. So the best we can do is to plan our trade, and then we trade the plan. But at the same time, we stay flexible as the route may need to change. So if you've ever driven somewhere and you've planned to take the most direct route, but I don't know, there could be traffic, there could be an accident on the motorway, there could be a road closure, there could be weather conditions, there could be wherever else might be. And then that's how you want to be looking at this time and time again. So what you're going to see, before I open up the floor to Q&A, is this, what we just saw over here. In the weekly trade plans, I'm going to be really focused on this as the user interface, so it's easier to follow on. We believe this is going to occur with all the 12 different markets, with the 4 different engines. Then you'll see on the trade image on the WhatsApp, but also the trade summaries as well. So you just know, right, we're looking for short trades right now with gold, and then the next trade might stop out, might break even, might make a small profit, or the trend just takes off. Then it's just easier to follow the plan. And there we have it.